Alright, the other day we started bank checking accounts. So we didn't write a deposit slip, but we did talk about it in the video. We wrote checks, things like that. Now, next thing we have to do, kind of another security aspect, is we have to keep our cash in line. We have to make sure that we know where all of our money went, all of it came from. And one way to do that is through a bank reconciliation. Now, every month, the bank has to send its account holders a statement. And that statement is a summary of what happened during the account, or during the month. It's gonna say all the deposits made to that account. It's gonna say all the withdrawals made from that account. And every once in a while, when you get your statement, you look at your checkbook balance and the statement balance. Those two numbers are usually gonna be wrong. They're not gonna equal, okay? And we have to do something called a reconciliation to get them to equal. Now, there's different reasons why those two numbers don't match. One, the bank charges you a service charge. And you're at least with my account, I don't know I have that until I get my statement. You know, I pretty much know what it is every month, but it's not gonna be in I'm not gonna record it until it's actually charged to me. And it's not charged to me until I get the statement. There might be deposits that I made that didn't make it onto the statement. So I get my statements usually around the 20th of every month. So I go in on the 19th, they don't print them all on the 20th. They might print them a couple days beforehand. I go in on the 20th and make a deposit, I write it down in my register, but it's not gonna make the statement because it was after the statement was printed, okay? There could be checks that done the same thing. I wrote a check on the 20th. It's not gonna be to my bank in time for it to be printed on the statement, okay? Or there could be, and this is depositor, made a math or recording error. The bank could make an error too. I've had that happen. I had one time I went down, I was 1 cent off. After I did the reconciliation, it turned out they flipped two numbers when they put the check in. So they can make a math error too, okay? So we have to catch all those things. If we don't record our service charges, even though it's $6 a month, eventually, you know, 6 times 12 is what?
72.
72. That's $72 that you're gonna be missing out of your checking account every year if you don't do the reconciliations. Okay, so eventually it could lead to overdrafts and things like that. Now, if you look on page 129, there's a statement. And the first thing that I do when I get a statement is I'll get my register out and I'll get this statement out. And I'll look, okay, check number, what's the first one on well, the first thing here is a $2,000 deposit. So I'll look in my register, do I have a $2,000 deposit? If I do, I put a check mark on it, okay? Then I'll go to check number 1. It's in my register, boom. I'll put a check mark next to it. So I compare what did I write that the bank knows about, okay? And that's gonna help us fill out our reconciliation. Now, this form usually does come on the back of a paper statement. I don't get paper statements anymore. I do all my banking through I keep track of my checkbook through Quicken. That has a built-in reconciliation, okay? But this form is usually on the back of the paper statements. And it's easy to do. We could do it in our, like a general journal type accounting form also, okay? But we're gonna do it on this, it's just easier. So the first thing we have to do is if we look, I thought my deal was way off. If we look on pages, 134 in the textbook and 97 in the workbook. It'll tell us, we're gonna prepare a bank reconciliation statement, and we're gonna use August 29th of this year. So we're gonna put up here the date, August 29, 2018. Again, this really isn't a formal document. It's good to have hand, but you can do the date however you want, as long as you get the date up there. Okay? Again, I'm a left to right. So I start on the left-hand side of this. So it wants to know the balance on check stub number, whatever our next unused check stub is. If we look in the book, we see that our next unused check is number 309. So we're gonna put, we got that balance from check number 309. Right? The balance on check stub number 309 was $2,822. 00. The dotted line, vertical line is the decimal point. Okay, so you don't need to put the decimal point, just put the zeros on the right hand side of that. Okay. Now I look at my bank statement and I gotta see if the bank charged me anything. Okay. In this case, they charged me a service charge, $20. Now I could have other things, unfortunately maybe I have an overdraft. I might put that there, something like that, okay, that I don't know about yet. I don't have anything else, so I'm gonna take this $20 and right here you have total bank charges. I'm gonna put $20 right there. They took that out of my account, so do I add or subtract? Subtract. So I take 2822 minus 20, I get 2802. So that's my corrected check stub balance. Question about this side? We got it? All right, now I go to the right side. First thing it asks is my bank statement. So I look at my bank statement, and somewhere on there, there's usually, it tells me, and I wish they kind of give us a check balance, statement to work through with this. But it tells us our bank statement balance, 2712. Okay? So I'm gonna put 2712 here. Okay. Then I look for any outstanding deposits. Any deposit that's in my checkbook that I did not put a check next to it. Okay? So in this case, I think we had one, right?
Yeah, $300.
$300. So I'll put 300, and I put the date of the deposit. So this guy, I think was 8/28/18. If I had a second one, I would put the second one there, and I would add them up. We only have one, so I'm gonna put my total outstanding deposits, 300. That needs to be added to the statement balance. Okay, so 300 plus 2712, 3012, right? Now, I look for any outstanding checks. Again, if I'm looking on my stubs or my register, it would be the ones that did not have the check marks, that I didn't find on the statement. All right? We got two, right? What's the first one?
Check number 306.
306. So I write check number 306, and the amount was 140, right?
Yes.
So I put 140 there. And we have a second one, 308. And that was $70. So in this case, I got two. I just go vertical. Do it left or right, however you want to do it. Okay, so I add those two up, and I see I got outstanding checks of $210. Those need to come off my checkbook statement, my statement balance. So when I subtract 3,012 minus $210, I get 2802. These two need to equal. If they don't equal, then I gotta go back and figure out why. Like I said, that time I was off 1 cent. I had to go back and figure out why. I went redid all my balances. Finally went through the checks, looked at theirs, found it, and like I said, on the bottom of the check, they used to print the amount as well. After you wrote it, we'll go through, somebody transposed the cents. So that threw me off 1 cent. Questions about the reconciliation? All right, now, next thing we have to do is we have to go to our check stub and record that $20 service charge. So our balance again is up to date. So I think this is check stub 309, so the balance carried forward actually should be here is 2822, right? On the balance brought forward, put 2822. Other, I'm gonna put service charge, $20. I put the 20 there also, just in case, again, we have multiple, so I can list each one individual. Okay, then I bring the total over, and I put it this line here. We don't have a deposit to record. I do need to bring this subtotal down again, 2822, right here where it says subtotal. Now I'm gonna subtract 2822 minus 20, and I'm gonna put on the next subtotal line, I put the 2802. Okay, and then we're ready to write this check. Questions? All right, now, we got it in our checkbook. Now we have to put it in our journal so we can get it into our accounts. So the date we did this, because this is the first transaction, I'm gonna put 2018, August 29. And I think in the book they tell you the account, but this kind of fits into the miscellaneous expense. Okay. There'll be a memo for the source document, so I'm gonna put M77 in the document upper column. It's a debit for $20. When I come down, I indent, I'm gonna put cash, credit 20. Then we would post this. Questions? Right, so today on the application problem, you're gonna do these three things. You're gonna do reconciliation, you'll adjust the checkbook's balance, and journalize the transaction. Okay? I'm also gonna put on the videos for tomorrow.